You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. By going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com, you can make this possible.
Under the new North Carolina law, a drug dealer who illegally sells a controlled substance that causes someone's death could be charged with second-degree murder. The so-called, quote, death by distribution, end quote, act, signed into law Monday by Governor Roy Cooper, allows prosecutors to charge dealers with a Class B2 felony, which carries a penalty of up to 40 years in prison if they have a previous unlawful distribution conviction. Yodit, listen here, listen here. It's one thing, I know what conspiracy is, so before anybody tries to go there, I'm talking to Yodita, I'm talking to Scott, I'm talking to Joanna. I don't want to hear nothing about if you're the one driving the car and somebody gets killed in the bank. No, that's not what this is. This is you sell a dime bag to somebody who has an allergic reaction and dies, and now you're in jail for 40 years. Your thoughts, Ms. Tuolde?
Okay, so I'm really frustrated with some of these lawmakers who feel like getting rid of drug dealers would mean getting rid of drugs. That whole idea of policies on this war on drugs is just not working. The logic is just flawed. So we have drug dealers because we have users, right? That's how it works. Only way you can get rid of or reduce the amount of dealers is to either legalize drugs or treatment, right? And so if we went with the rationale behind this law being implemented, then why are we going after big drug companies? Because they're the ones that are providing the drugs. So if we had no drugs, there'd be no overdose, right? That's the logic. Yeah. And so you're saying basically that this person, and these are low-level drug dealers, right, that we're talking about. They're not talking about really getting big high-end drug dealers. You're getting those low-level offenders who either have a drug addiction themselves and are just selling enough to get their addiction fed, right? That's it. But you're really talking about spending more money on prosecution, spending more money on jails and prisons, because that's exactly what's going to happen, because we're going to be filling up those jails with low-level offenders, those individuals that are selling, dimes, if that's what you call them. But yes, so I think that the motive behind this law is very suspect. We know who they're going to be targeting with this law, but to basically remove any and all accountability from the individual who chooses to overdose or use drugs is ridiculous.
And Joanna, what she's saying but not saying, I of course am going to say directly, this disproportionately and directly affects the African American community. It directly affects young African American men. It is just furthering the over-incarceration slave wage game that the United States has been playing ever since slavery was so-called abolished. But it's going a step further, because now something that you could have gotten probation for, you may be facing 40 years.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Monique. I'm very concerned. And the reason being is because in communities where employment opportunities are scarce, right, and the school systems are completely broken, you find children and young adults who fall prey to selling drugs, like she said earlier, dime bags. And now those folks are at jeopardy of being charged with a felony, with murder rather, in the event that someone were to die of suicide as a result of purchasing a dime bag. I think this kind of legislation is specifically targeting certain people, and like she said as well, it's a very suspicious legislation, and I'm appalled because it's targeting people who look like me and people from my respective communities.
It's a pretty race-neutral statute. It applies to white people too.
All you have to do is not sell drugs, right, Scott? You and Michael are trading on with our personal responsibility panel today. Come on, give it to me.
Let me just say this: you can't OD on a dime bag, first of all.
You can't.
You can have an allergic reaction to drugs. They didn't say overdose.
I'm going to take you back to Torch 101.
They said die.
So if you have an illegal, if you have a reaction.
That's not
if you have a reaction, your scenario was a reaction to weed or whatever you've been selling, right? That would be what we call a supervening, intervening act.
If somebody finds out.
Right. And do you know how hard it is to connect the drugs back to the drug dealer? So this was
when they following you every day, all day, not that hard at all.
This was targeted for opioid users and sellers, as well as cocaine and all drugs. First of all. Second of all, these jurisdictions who have these laws have successfully prosecuted dealers where the user has OD'd. Tell that to the family of the user. Right? Tell that to the family of the users who they get a bad case of drugs because they're addicts and they can't protect themselves. And then the drug dealers are taking advantage of them, and they do have a negative reaction, right? These laws are constitutionally sound. They're race neutral, and they apply to everybody.
It's murder.
Well, wait a minute. But for them giving me the drugs, for me giving them the drugs, that person would be alive. What's wrong with that law?
Now we're back to the but-for test.
Social.
Now we're on the but-for test.
The but-for test.
We're like in first-year law school right now.
It lives.
I think this policy on its face looks very neutral. But
you but for Michael? That's a hell of a standard.
I think that this policy on its face looks very neutral, but in its actual implementation, it's going to be detrimental to a certain group of people. Period. That's just the reality.
For white people and black people. Would you agree with that? Because they're the low-level drug dealers that are selling this stuff.
So why don't you hold big drug companies criminally liable?
Well, I was going to raise that too, because they distribute more opioids than anyone else. However, they don't administer it. That goes to the doctors, and the doctors are being prosecuted for pill factories and other crimes that are committed based on their over-distribution of opioids. So I haven't forgotten about the big drug deal.
Are they being prosecuted for murder?
Pardon me?
Are they
They're not being prosecuted for murder, though.
Oh, yes, they have. What about the doctor who gave Michael Jackson too much propofol? He was prosecuted, and he spent several years in jail.
So you pull from the one unicorn in a field full of sheep, and what you're saying.
And when you call back to my big law firm, I'll have you some other cases in about 20 minutes.
And you'll be defending the pharmaceutical companies. But, Michael, any thoughts? Any thoughts?
No, I'm gonna be Switzerland on this one.
You're gonna leave me alone on this one? Okay, that's fine. Go on.
I'm serious. You can go to the.
Really okay, Mike is like, I'm not even touching it, and I would prefer we move on.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. MarijuanaStock.org is another great investment opportunity. If you were lucky enough to invest in their last crowdfunding campaign, you, of course, now know that those folks are invested in a publicly traded company. They raised a ton of money in a few months investing in legal marijuana farms. Now, of course, they have a new investment opportunity, which is as good or if not even better. I'm talking about industrial hemp CBD. For those who don't know, the hemp plant is the cousin to marijuana with a much higher concentration of CBD, which means hemp CBD gives you all the medical benefits of marijuana without getting you high. Now, until recently, hemp farming was practically illegal in the U.S. and heavily regulated by the DEA. However, the 2018 Farm Bill changed all of that, making it legal to grow hemp CBD in the U.S. and creating one of the largest commodities worldwide. They need land to grow all the plants, which makes for an incredible investment opportunity, and that's where our good friends at 420 Real Estate come in. Their business model is real simple. They buy land that supports hemp CBD grow operations and lease it to high-paying tenants. That's right, they are hemp CBD landlords. And you can get in on the action. You can invest in the crowdfunding campaign for as little as $200 up to $10,000. Like I said, you may not want to miss out on this opportunity. Go to marijuanastock.org. That's marijuanastock.org to get in the game and to do it now. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video.